They only want white people here. Because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the United States in their new life.
This video is for the white Afrikaners who are coming to the United States. I think you've already landed here. And I know that some of the folks who met you at the airport told you, welcome, we're so glad you're here. Most of us aren't glad you're here, okay? We don't want you here. We never wanted you here. And furthermore, I noticed they're gonna settle you in Idaho, Ohio, and North Carolina. I will tell you they're not our finest states, so they're a good fit for you. I understand that many of you are farmers, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, that's great, we need more farmers. Sorry to say we don't. We actually need farm workers because we've deported most of them. So if you can, put your picking hat on and think about, picking produce, that's largely probably what you're going to be doing here because I hear you don't have a lot of skills. I would also say that you're not going to have to hold just one job, but probably 2 or 3 to make up for your quality of life that you had back in South Africa. There'll be no servants working for $2 a day. There's none of that here. So you're the servant who's working for $2 a day. So enjoy that. You're gonna have to pay for your health care, and ordinarily, because you're a refugee who's being discriminated against, you would go on Medicaid. But guess what? The Republicans just cut Medicaid. So I don't think you're going to have that option for healthcare. Interestingly enough, we have a ton of Latinos. We're the 2nd largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. So for you, if you could stop speaking that dirty, guttural, whatever it is, German, French, Dutch thing that you speak, that Afrikaans, nobody wants to hear that shit. So you can speak English or you can speak Spanish, which is really the 2nd language here. In terms of other things that you need to know about, the black people in this country, they don't get fucked with, okay? I know that there's a long legacy of colonialism and all kinds of stuff happening in your country, but our black folks have sort of been through the fire, if you will, and they're not going to be fucked with. So you're the minority here. Enjoy. I really hope you like your time here. I'm going to bet my ass that you're going to be booking it back to SA probably within the next 12 months.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
No, because the days of soothing and assuaging these fucking toddlers is done. We're done. We're not doing this anymore. If you guys want to sit here and be terrified of your fellow South Africans, that's your own fucking business. But I think it's time to stop making it everyone else's problem. You were invited to fuck off to America, and you're still here, crying and complaining, using actual victims to further your false narrative. Because we're not saying we don't have an issue with violent crime in South Africa. We are saying it is not a genocide against white people. And further to that point, black women are murdered, raped, and tortured at much higher rates than anyone in this country. And here you are, crying about a genocide against whites. If anything, if any argument is to be made, it is a genocide against black women. Because they die much more violently and at far higher rates than you. Stop this shit. We are not saying we don't have an issue with violent crime, but the solutions get diluted when we're constantly having to explain what everyone else already knows to be factually true to you people who are crying like babies, even though you were given the ticket out. Why are you still here?
This is a message for the 49 white Afrikaners that fled to the United States. I'm an Afrikaans-speaking white South African, and I have absolutely zero desire to go over to America. Number one, because there's no genocide happening in South Africa, is there, Lua? I mean, I'm white, and I live a pretty good lifestyle. Also, I don't think that moving over to America is going to give me the lifestyle that I've got here. But anyway, to you 49ers, well done to you guys for taking the leap. But for everyone else that's curious about the truth, there is no mass farm murders in South Africa. I'm eating pretty well. I'm getting my food from the shops. I haven't heard of any farmers being brutally attacked or murdered, especially not racially motivated attacks. So there you go. I don't know what Donald Trump is up to, what he's saying, but this guy is just talking absolute nonsense.
To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're going to have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not going to have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.
I'm a white South African and I'm not racist. And yes, I will stay in my country. Can someone make a documentary that follows them, please?
No one has ever said that there aren't murders on farms and small holdings in South Africa. What I have said is that the people that went over and took up refugee status as so-called oppressed, persecuted white Afrikaners are not commercial farmers, because commercial farmers have come out publicly and said they would not take up the offer of refugee status. They're staying in South Africa. So that's what is being said. I do not know why farm murders are brought up when we're talking about people that aren't farmers. Also, another thing is, when you live on a farm as a white person in South Africa, do you think you're exempt from crime? Or do you think that crime on farms and small holdings only affect white people and it's therefore racially motivated? Because I can tell you that is false. In August last year, Maria and Kudzai's husband went to go and dig for food on a dump. The food would have been pig food. All three of those people were shot. Maria and Kudzai died. Their bodies were thrown in a pigsty. Fortunately, Kudzai's husband crawled to the main road and was able to get help. Now, I want to ask you, do you think that that crime was racially motivated? Because, I mean, the alleged shooter and the other people that have also been arrested, two of them happen to be white. So the farmer is white, the farm manager is white, and then the person that assisted with moving the body is a black laborer. Do you think it was a racially motivated crime and it took place on a farm? Or was it a crime Can we stop with a false narrative? Also, another thing is that if people really want to get to know about murders on farms and smallholdings, there is a professor in South Africa called Professor Zinn. He does extensive work, or has done extensive work. I think it's over 5,000 pages of work, where he's even interviewed criminals involved in crime on farms and smallholdings. Let's start being honest.
Let me know what your thoughts are. I think this is pretty much a good open discussion to see what people's sentiment is. If it's your first time to this channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't checked out this video, make sure you do. It's some crazy stuff that's been going on, but I'm sure you find it hilarious. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.